Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom, and in this video we're going to look at an interesting book. So this is Break Your Chains. Break Your Chains. So by Emily Conolan, maybe I'm mispronouncing this. This is the Freedom Finders and a Choose Your Own Destiny book. So what this is essentially similar to Choose Your Own Adventure. So you go through the book and there's points where basically it's like, if you have these decisions to make and you go to this page. And yes, throughout the book, there are points where you die and you have to go back and make another decision. So it's very, very interesting. So the basics of the story, you start out as a young girl by the name of, what is her character here? Let's see. Let's see, what is our main character's name? Do we have a name here? Let's see, or basically, no. You're literally reading this in first person. So it says you. So its name. Basically, you're a young girl. You're born in Ireland. You're of a lower class. Your father he works for different British masters. Eventually, you have an older sister and a mother. But before the real story begins, your sister dies in childbirth. Your father is taken away because he burns a ship because he was for the Irish resistance, for Irish independence. So you and your mother go to London, and at the start of the story, you're very, very poor. You're living in the slums of London. You're about 13 years old, and you help, basically, you're used to horses. You grew up around animals, and your father taught you quite a bit about horses. So a carriage tips over. You basically help calm this horse, and this upper class woman gets out and gives you this fancy bracelet and says you will know when to get rid of this kind of thing. And so you go home, and you can't find your mother. She's in the back room, and she's collapsed, and she has smallpox. So this is the first time you have a decision to make. And so she tells you to leave and go to a neighbor woman. So you have the choice to doing that, or you can stay with your mother. So, and it depends on what you do. And different decisions mean different things, and occasionally death, and you have to go back. But the next major step, it leads to you being imprisoned and sentenced to be sent to what is now Tasmania. So that is the next step, and you meet another woman by the name of Sarah who killed her father in self-defense. And so you're both being shipped off. You find your father. He's also being sent to Tasmania as well. So you're eventually put on a ship with a bunch of other women and prisoners being sent to Tasmania. And you have a couple more decisions. You befriend a local Indian man, and you help with, there's a pregnant horse on board. There's another decision where you decide during a storm to either leave or wait. The correct decision is to wait, because if you leave, you die. So you do help birth this horse, because if you make the right decision, the Indian man comes and helps you, and you get to the horse and you help this horse give birth, because you've been helping take care of it. You eventually get to Tasmania. Again, there are various decisions to be made. You're taken in by a single man, and you are like one of 3 servants, and on his land, basically you're doing laundry and cleaning and things like that. Your friend Sarah is taken away somewhere else. You go to town, and again, there are various decisions when you should give up your bracelet, and you're trying to find your father, and various different things happen. And if you follow the story there's 2 kind of ending conclusions. There's your father ends up escaping, and you end up with him basically being an outlaw, or you marry this Irishman who is there to help political prisoners. So, and that is the regular conclusion here. So that is was what I consider almost the right conclusion. So otherwise you periodically die. You make these different decisions. And there is historical information in the back. So it is, you have a chance to, she gives you pages if you want to find out about different things like child labor, what happened to the natives, the Aborigines in Tasmania, and different things. So there's some historical information here. The author is in fact Tasmanian. So some of this stuff by the dates are not correct, and she does mention this at the end of the book. It's like, yeah, some of these things are fudged. So, and her family, I believe, was, she had convicts were part of her family tree and came to Tasmania. So it's a very, very interesting book. I enjoyed it because, again, it's interactive. So it's interactive and it's history. So you get to learn a little bit about the penal colonies and the Irish Revolution, and again, the jail colonies in Tasmania, which is something I didn't know that much about. So it's it's a very interesting book. And again, you have these different paths you can take. So you get the decision making, and it changes every time you make a different decision. So the book can vary every time you read it because you find a different story kind of thing. So it is a very, very interesting book, and again, very interactive. So it's an enjoyable read. It's not too long, and again, the number of actual pages varies by what you read. So without the fact files, which are in the back, it's 252 pages. So if you take all the different stories into account, and there's of course a back kind of informational thing for the history. So this is a good, if say you're homeschooling and you're doing Tasmanian history, you're looking at some of the penal colonies, you're looking a little bit of Irish history and what happened to some of their political prisoners. It's a very kind of good book to read through, and again, it's very, very entertaining. It is fiction. It's definitely historical fiction. Like, again, the author fudged some of the details and fudged some of the times, so in different events. So obviously the characters are completely fictional. So it is a very interesting book, and with the interaction, it makes it very enjoyable. Age range, it depends on your kids and what you're going after. Probably late elementary would be around the age range, I would say. Earlier kids aren't going to fully understand that because, again, this is talking about various political prisoners. It's talking about small clocks. If you take the wrong course, you do, in fact, die multiple times. So, and yes, it involves being killed or drowning. So you judge your kids and how sensitive they are. It does talk about the racism. She does not hide this. She makes a note at the beginning. It's like, I don't want to pussyfoot around this because this really did happen. So you have the racism of the Aborigines and the racism of the Indian man who's on the ship, and kind of issues with the Irish, because that's the main character. That's who you are when you're following this story. So it's very, very interesting, and again, very enjoyable, and there's a lot of the history here. So that's really the end of this book review. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I think I'm going to try to find, I enjoyed, this is the first real adventure book besides some of the younger picture books that I have that I reviewed previously. And I found this kind of enjoyable. So I'm probably going to try to look at some more of the choose your own adventure books. So I will add those to my reviews as going forward. So be sure to check out the rest of the channel. I do various different book series. I do standalone books. I have a bunch of stuff. I do various films. I do more educational stuff. I do some homeschool focused stuff, some travel stuff. My daughter, by the time you guys read this, see this, this is being filmed thankfully in the 24th of February of 2022. So probably more than a year early. My daughter will be close to age 4. She'll be 3.5 by the time you guys see this. So the homeschooling stuff and the curriculum stuff is coming. But obviously I do not have a plan because we have nowhere near this because my daughter's 2.5 right now. So but be sure to like and subscribe, leave a positive comment if you have one. Check out my library. It's quite extensive at this point, at least by the time you see this. So, and again, enjoy the channel. Thank you.